You have to see yourself as victorious. And to be a winner, you have to think like a winner. If you don't think like a winner, it's just never going to happen. So much of success is seeing yourself as victorious. You have to see yourself. You have to really believe in yourself. And sometimes it's hard. You know, you've had failures, you've had weaknesses, you've had other things. You have to see yourself as a one-man band. Don't rely too much on other people because they'll let you down. The harder I work, the luckier I get. And he wins the US Open. You have all these big, handsome guys, these big, giant guys, and they're hitting the ball a mile. And you have Gary Player. And Gary Player would win the Open. He'd win the Masters. He'd win this. He'd win that. And he said, you know, hey, in the US Open, he hit a 5-iron to 1 foot from the hole, and he ended up getting a birdie and wins the US Open, right? And he came off the green. Now, I know I've heard the statement before, but I heard it from him in a meaningful way. They said, what do you think, Gary? What is it? He said, all I know is I've been working very hard, and the harder I work, the luckier I get. I thought it was an amazing
I love the game. I like the money, and the money is certainly a method of keeping score. But I don't do things for money. I do things because I enjoy doing them. That really sometimes can translate into more money than you would have made if you went just after the money.
You can't take your eye off the ball. When I had troubles in the early 90s, a major article came out, and it said very strongly, everything he touches turns to gold. And I believed it. So I'd go out with models at night instead of working. But that wasn't good. And I remember I had a big lease coming up, and there was a big show, and I went to the show. I said, don't worry, fellas, you can handle the lease. You'll get it done. Well, I came back, they didn't get it done, and I would have had it done 100%. And then the market crashed in the 90s. So I had trouble. But it was sort of an amazing, I wouldn't want to do it again. It was an amazing test of yourself. Can you handle pressure? How are you under pressure? Are you smart? You know, when everybody's coming at you, have to love what you do. And I'm not going to go over that long, but it solves a lot of problems. When you love what you do, when you really love what you do, you work harder. You just have to fight for yourself because basically nobody else is going to fight for you.
Going against the tide is great if it works. It doesn't always work. And you really have to be smart to go against the tide because you're going against a lot of smart people. But when you get it right, you'll end up better. Whether it's Microsoft or Google, I mean, so many people that have really hit big have gone against the tide. But you have to have great confidence in yourself. You have to be the right person. There are very few people that can pull it off. But when you pull it off,
oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. Your parents may say wrong, your whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. It's all about the details. It's very important.
Right.
A lot of that is all in the details. You've got to be into the details because if you're not, they'll come back to haunt you. Oftentimes, you know, life is in the details. Well, business also is in the details. You have to be very careful. You have to watch the dotted I's because you can really lose tremendously if you don't watch those details. So when people come in to buy something, especially very rich, they see details. If something's wrong, they see it and it reflects in the price.
Let me see what that looks like.
That's why I'm up early in the morning to check every detail of my construction sites.
And what is that?
It's a little bit like watch somebody sell their used car and not wash it. You can spend $10 washing the car and get another $200 for the car. And I've seen guys, they're selling cars that are dirty. And I say, that guy is a loser.
It's going to be a great story.
Never, ever give up. You can change and you can move around, but never, ever give up. I know people that are very smart. They went to the Wharton School of Finance with me. I know other people that aren't as smart, and those people are the top people in industry today, and they just were tougher. They didn't give up. And the smart ones had everything on their plate. They'd always come in with the A+ on the tests and the good boards and everything else. But when they ran into problems, they didn't know how to solve the problems like the guys that weren't as good. And it's very seldom that you see something other than this happen. So never, ever give up.
But the fact is, you have to be able to separate yourself from the pack. You know, there's a story that my father told, and he thought it was a great, funny story. I didn't. And it was about a man who wanted to start a cola company. And he started it, and he called it 3-Up. And you know where this is going. Yeah. And then he failed. He went bankrupt. He went out of business. He said, I'm not giving up. And he called it 4-Up. And then he called it 5-Up. And then he failed again, and he called it 6-Up. And ultimately, he said, I quit. I give up. And you know what? If he wouldn't have quit, he would have had 7-Up. Sometimes you have fear of things, and there's nothing wrong with it, but try not to show it. When you keep getting rejected, when you keep hearing the no, you have to learn that there's a reason for no. What is it? Now, why are they saying no to me? Why is it that they keep saying no? You have to figure it out, because you know what? If they say no and no and no, and you keep saying no, maybe you're doing something wrong. You have to learn how to take that no and change it into a yes. So oftentimes, it's those no's that can make a life a lot better than those yeses.
I respect the fact that Director Comey was able to come back after what he did. I respect that very much.
He's become more famous than me.
Well, I think her history is far from being over. I'd like to answer that question in another 15 years from now. I think Hillary Clinton is going to go down at a minimum as a great senator. I think she is a great wife to a president. And I think Bill Clinton was a great president. You know, you look at the country then. The economy was doing great. Look at what happened during the Clinton years. I mean, we had no war. The economy was doing great. Everybody was happy. A lot of people hated him because they were jealous as hell. Hillary Clinton is a great woman and a good woman. I think she's a wonderful woman. I think that she's a little bit misunderstood. You know, Hillary's a very smart woman, very tough woman. That's fine. But she's also a very nice person. And I know Hillary, and I know her husband very well. They're fine people. I thought, and you know, part of that is a rough political battle. I thought she was roughed up. I thought she, and I'm not knocking the other side. You know, you want to win a battle, so if it gets a little bit nasty, it is politics, and politics is a tough game. But I thought she was perhaps unnecessarily roughed up. She took some pretty hard hits.
The FBI, and I give them a lot of credit because they're fighting forces that they're not supposed to be fighting. I have respect that the FBI.
Good job by the FBI.